Welcome to Reddit After Hours. This is r/Am I the Butthole, where OP's cousin openly admits to wanting to steal her family heirloom. Our first Reddit post comes from Hot Explorer 3684, titled, "Am I the butthole for refusing to give my late aunt's heirloom necklace to her daughter?" My aunt passed away a few years ago, and before she died, she gave me a beautiful antique necklace that had been in our family for generations. She told me that she wanted me to have it because we were extremely close. She knew that I would treasure it, and I have ever since. Now, her daughter, Lily, is getting married, and last week she asked me if she could borrow the necklace as her, quote, something old. I said yes at first because I thought that it was just for the wedding day, but then she casually mentioned that she wanted to keep it permanently. I was confused and I asked what she meant. She said that it should have been hers all along, and since it belonged to her mother, it should be hers. She said that it was unfair that I had it instead of her, and that she deserved it more because she is her daughter. I told her, I thought you wanted to borrow it. Aunt gave this to me because she wanted me to have it, and I'm not giving it away. She got upset and said that my aunt was probably just being polite when she gave it to me, and that if she were still here, she would obviously want her own daughter to have it instead. She told me that I was being selfish and should, quote, do the right thing. Now my mom and a few relatives are saying that I should just give it to her because it was her mom's and it would mean a lot to her on her wedding day. But to me, this isn't just some family heirloom. It was a gift meant for me. I understand why she wants it, but my aunt had her reasons for giving it to me. I don't think I should be guilted into handing it over just because Lily suddenly decided that she wants it now. Definitely not the butthole, OP. You said it yourself. Your aunt had her reasons for giving it to you. I can understand why she wants it, obviously, because, her mom's not here anymore and it belonged to her mom at one point. So I can understand why she wants it. But if her mom only passed a couple years ago, she was probably, 25, 26-ish when her mom passed, if the story says she's 29 now. So her mom obviously didn't think that in her adult life that she was going to appreciate it and didn't want her to have it. If her mom wanted her to have it, she would have given it to her. But she gave it to you. So, if I were you, I would treasure it and I wouldn't let it go either. Our next Reddit post comes from Natural Account 1733, titled, "Am I the butthole for telling my girlfriend to grow up and start acting like an adult?" I moved in with my girlfriend of 2 years and we've been living together for about a year now. The first year was good, but it was a very honeymoon-like phase of seeing each other a couple times a week for date nights and things like that. Fast forward to year 2 and living together, and I'm losing my mind at the utter laziness and uselessness of my girlfriend. My girlfriend practically brags about never having more than a quarter tank of gas in her car, which at first I thought it was whatever. In year 1, I've had to bring a gas can to her 4 times because she ran out of gas. She recently ran out of oil in her car, which pretty much ruined her entire car after I told her for almost 3 weeks that she needs an oil change. She constantly snoozes her alarm and gets reprimanded at work for it. One time, I was out of town on work and she calls me to tell me that I need to call a cat sitter that I had to find for her cat because she's going on an impromptu cruise with her friend. She will complain that we don't have plans and expects me to coordinate every aspect of our lives. Whether it's travel, food, cleaning, bills, plans with friends, holidays, it doesn't matter. If I don't do the laundry, it'll sit there for weeks. If I don't do the dishes, they'll sit there for weeks. I could list 1,000 other things, but after the oil change situation, I finally lost my top. Not only does she do all of these things, she says stuff like, quote, "Things only happen to me," and then sulks about how hard her life is and how all these very regular parts of being an adult are so overwhelming, which is why she needs me to do them all. I finally blew my top after trying to be gentle with her for months. I told her to grow the hell up and get used to it. Stop putting herself in overwhelming situations and take some freaking responsibility for the consequences of her actions. We've been fighting ever since, and I just don't have the patience anymore, so I'm becoming more and more condescending sometimes on purpose and sometimes subconsciously. OP, just from reading this, I don't think that you're the butthole. However, I think this relationship has come to an end. It doesn't look like she sees a problem with really anything she's doing, and it seems like mentally, it seems like you're too far gone to want to fix this relationship. I hope everything works out for you, OP, but yeah, sounds like this one's kind of done. Our next Reddit post comes from Quizzical Nonsense, titled, "Am I the butthole for kicking a pregnant woman out of her seat?" Basically, I was doing a long travel day, about 5 hours-ish worth of travel, so I booked my train in advance to ensure that I had a reserved seat. When I get on the train, a woman is in my seat, so I politely inform her that I think she's in my seat, and I show her my ticket and ask her to move. She checks her ticket and says, "Well, I must have sat in the wrong seat," and then puts her head back down. I say that it's my seat and could I please sit in it. At this point, her partner, sitting opposite of her, starts speaking at me in what I perceive to be an aggressive tone. He suggests that I find another seat, which there are none because, like I said, it's a busy train, and I say that I booked this seat and there are no other available seats in the carriage. He then raises his voice and says, "Well, someone else is in our seats," and that his missus is pregnant. I say that I understand, but that I have a heart defect, which I do, and said everyone has their own medical issues and reasons for standing for long periods of time that might be difficult for them. Now, here's where I could be the butthole. I ask him not to speak to me in an aggressive tone, and that I will make a complaint if he continues. He then starts swearing at me, and I ask him to stop. Eventually, the woman gets up and allows me to sit there, and he continues to berate me, saying that he hopes that I feel good for myself and that now I'm all quiet now that I have my seat. When really, I just stopped engaging with him as I felt that there was no point. One of the men who sat beside him offers that him and his partner sit in the seats opposite me. It's a table seat for context. At which point, he sits his partner down, then laughs at me and points in my face. Eventually, when the ticket inspector comes around, they are asked to move to their assigned seats, and she asks me if I'm okay, as another passenger had made a complaint on my behalf. Even so, was I the butthole? Should I have just left them alone as she was pregnant, and did I in any way escalate the situation? OP, you are 1,000,000% not the butthole. For one, you have a heart condition, so, asking someone to get out of your seat for almost any reason is reasonable because you're looking out for your own health. Secondly, if this guy was so concerned with his wife's being able to sit down because she's pregnant, why didn't he buy her a seat? Why didn't he stand so that she could sit down? And then they have their own seats. Why in the world would they not just do the same thing that you did and politely ask those people to get out of their seats like the ticket inspector told them to do? It's not that hard. This guy sounds like an absolute butthole. If he cared so much, he could have given up his seat for her. If that was my wife, I would have stood so she could be more comfortable, or I would have just bought her another seat, or made the people move out of her seat so she could be more comfortable. You're definitely not the butthole, OP. Our next Reddit post comes from Reddit Mom Am I the Butthole, titled, "Am I the butthole for letting my daughter have her own bedroom?" My husband and I have 3 kids, a 14-year-old boy, a 13-year-old girl, and a 10-year-old boy. We used to live in a 2-bedroom house where all the kids stayed in the same room and shared the same bathroom. There were many arguments about bedroom and bathroom space, especially amongst the 2 oldest. We have just purchased our first home and the house has 3 bedrooms. As my middle child is the only girl, I thought it would be more appropriate for her to have her own room and bathroom away from the boys. So I gave her the sole bedroom/bathroom and the boys share a room. However, my oldest son has been moping about it ever since we moved in. He believes since he is the oldest, he should have his own room. I told him that it's better for him and his brother to be in one room, but he is still complaining about, quote, having to share a room with a little kid and not having his own space. My oldest has started barging into my daughter's bathroom when he has his own with his little brother. I told him to stay out of his sister's bathroom, but he got upset and said that he doesn't have a damn thing to himself. I grounded him for cursing at me, and my husband later went and talked with my son, and now thinks maybe our son is right and should have his own room as he's the oldest. OP, this might be my own bias showing here because I grew up with 3 brothers, 1 older and 2 younger, but I really think you did the right thing here. I mean, boys are boys, right? I mean, they fight, whatever, but I mean, a 10 and a 14-year-old, that's not that big of an age gap, right? And I mean, your daughter's going through puberty, right? If she hasn't already started things like her period and stuff, like that's a lot of emotion for, a young growing girl. And like, I can't imagine having her share her room with her 10-year-old brother if she doesn't have to. I think you did the right thing, OP. I think for her sanity and for her privacy, I think she deserves to have her own room given the situation here. Ideally, of course, they would all get their own room, but, that's not always practical in today's housing market because, I mean, stuff is expensive right now. So, I mean, if I were in your position, OP, I probably would have done the same thing. I think I would give her her own space. Our next Reddit post comes from Random GF, titled, "Am I the butthole for having an issue with my boyfriend taking a sick day from work? I just need some outside opinions. My boyfriend, let's call him Dan, has a sore throat, so he stayed home from work yesterday. I've been working from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Thursday, which is yesterday, this week, and today was my first day off. Dan's job and my job are completely different. He completed college and scored a cushy office job that pays about $28 an hour, and he works from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday usually. To give him some credit, he works in logistics, and it looks complicated when he's working from home. But he works out of a cubicle and stays in one spot all day. I'm still trying to complete my college, so I have a job that is way more hands-on. I work with children. Specifically, I work at a playground for children. So I'm constantly moving to put toys back where they go, cleaning pee and poop accidents out of the playground, prepping enormous amounts of food for children's parties, and I even have to wear a hot freaking mascot suit in to dance with the kids multiple times a day. It's a lot, and it only pays $11 an hour." Okay, on to the actual issue. There's only one TV, and I wanted to watch movies today by myself because, shocker, I am also sick. I rarely get to use the TV because as soon as Dan gets home, he's playing on his PS5. I don't really care that he plays his PS5, but why does it have to be all day every day? No joke, he plays from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on his off days and 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on his working days. Again, that is the only TV that I can stream movies on, so it's either watch him play his game or go downstairs and watch one of the Spanish soap operas that play on cable. I don't speak or understand much Spanish. So today was my day to use the TV because he's supposed to be working from 6 to 3 and he already got to stay home and play all day yesterday. Unfortunately, when I woke up at 7 a.m. this morning, he was very much not at work. I asked him why he wasn't working and he said, "Oh, I was just really not feeling good at all, so I turned around and came home." I told him then if he's really feeling that terrible, then he should be resting and not drinking energy drinks and playing his game for hours on end. And that was my one day off this week, and I wanted to watch movies and take a sick day of my own. I'm not allowed to take any sick days at work unless I have a contagious disease or am on the verge of losing consciousness. I have been throwing up at work all week, but I was just told to drink some water and shake it off by my boss. So this day off is my sick day. Dan called me selfish for wanting a day by myself, and we got into a huge argument about how it's his house too, so he can do what he wants in it. We rent, and I pay half of it just as much as he does, so it's just as much as my house as it is his. He's calling me a grunt and a butthole for, quote, demanding that I use the TV today when he's feeling sick. I just wanted to be able to use the TV on my off day. So, am I the butthole for being pissed that he had to take 2 sick days in a row for a sore throat? OP, I think there's a much more fundamental issue here. Like, it doesn't sound like you guys are even a couple right now. It sounds like you guys are just roommates. Like, he cares more about playing video games than spending literally any quality time with you whatsoever. And, like, don't get me wrong, right? I like to play video games too, right? In some of my downtime. But I try to limit my video game time to like after I've spent time with my wife or when my wife is asleep or doing something else off somewhere else, scrolling her phone or whatever, right? But, you guys, you have to make time to spend with each other. And like, what's wrong with just watching movies together? Why is the TV such a point of contention to him that he's so angry at you for wanting to use the TV? Why not suggest watching a movie together or, playing a game together? My wife, when we first moved in, she actually started to play Call of Duty Zombies with me, and it was awesome. We had so much fun doing it. So, like, there's a lot of compromises here for you guys to spend time together. And I just think it's weird that he just doesn't seem to want to spend any time with you whatsoever. Maybe I'm reading into this too much, but it sounds like this issue is a lot deeper than just a TV. Our next Reddit post comes from Ella Faith Zero, titled, "Am I the butthole for making my boyfriend's mom cry because of a quote petty rule?" So me and my boyfriend have been together for almost 2 years and now live together. His mother is very involved in his life, and some might say kind of overbearing, but I try to be respectful. She's nice, but she has this way of like pushing boundaries while acting like she means well. So the issue is that I have a no shoes in the house rule. My boyfriend is cool with it, and all my friends do it with no problem, but his mom refuses. She claims that it's rude to ask guests to take their shoes off, and that it makes her feel, quote, disrespected. I've tried explaining that it's just a cleanliness thing, but she won't budge. Last weekend, she came over and, surprise, surprise, walked in with her shoes on. I very politely, and I swear I was polite, asked her, "Hey, can you take your shoes off, please?" She kind of huffs and is like, "You're really gonna make me do that?" And I just stood there waiting. She sighed dramatically, then took her shoes off and spent the whole visit sulking. Then later, I get a text from my boyfriend's dad saying that I made her cry and that she feels like I'm, quote, trying to assert dominance over her in her son's home, which actually is our home. My boyfriend is on my side, but now his parents are acting like I've disrespected the Queen of England. Am I the butthole for standing my ground on a very normal rule? OP, that is absolutely a very normal rule. And for, what it's worth, you're not the butthole either. I would wonder how many times she told her own son growing up, "My house, my rules." OP, it's partly your house too, so they're your rules too. If someone doesn't want to respect the rules of your house, then they don't need to be in your house, mother of your boyfriend or not. Like, it's your house. You can make any rule you want, no matter how ridiculous. Like, you could tell people, "Hey, you're not allowed to come over unless you're wearing a red shirt." And because it's your house, it's your rules. So definitely not the butthole OP. It's a very weird hill for her to die on, and it sounds like that she's just trying to assert her dominance over you. That was Reddit After Hours, bringing you r/Am I the Butthole. Thank you all so much for listening, and if you like these stories, like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below for any future Reddit subs you'd like us to cover in the future, as we post new Reddit videos almost every single day.